The Ottoman Empire once ruled across 3 continents, thriving in trade, culture, and military power. But by the early 1900s, internal conflicts, stronger rivals, and rapid global change pushed it toward decline. How did a mighty empire become the sick man of Europe? Let's uncover its fall. At its height, the Ottoman Empire was a symbol of global influence. Istanbul became a treasure of the world, where East and West met in thriving trade and innovation. Brilliant scholars advanced science and art, while strong armies guarded vast lands from North Africa to the heart of Europe. The empire commanded respect, shaping politics and culture across 3 continents. It seemed nothing could challenge such greatness, and its rulers believed their legacy would last forever. But time moved forward faster than the empire could adapt. Europe entered the industrial age, powered by machines, new weapons, and modern education. Meanwhile, the Ottoman system relied on old traditions, slow reforms, and outdated equipment. Economic progress stagnated, and the empire struggled to keep pace with the rapid transformations happening around it. The gap widened, placing Ottoman power in danger. The empire's greatest strength, its diversity, became a challenge. Many ethnic and religious communities lived under Ottoman rule, but as new ideas of nationalism spread across Europe, these groups demanded more independence and political rights. The government struggled to hold everyone together, and internal unity began to crumble. Economic troubles deepened. To pay debts and fund modernization, the empire borrowed heavily from European powers. But loans came with conditions. Foreign control over trade and finances grew stronger. Slowly, the empire lost control of its own economy. What was once a proud independent state became increasingly vulnerable to outside influence. The Balkan Wars delivered a painful blow. The empire lost nearly all its European territories, lands that had been Ottoman for centuries. These losses shocked the population and exposed the military's weaknesses to the world. Confidence faded, and fear began to spread. The empire's decline was no longer a secret. Political instability made everything worse. Governments changed frequently, each with conflicting plans for reform. Instead of working together, leaders argued for control while ordinary people suffered the consequences. The empire needed unity, but found division. A spark of hope emerged from the Young Turks, a movement determined to modernize administration, technology, and the military. They pushed for equality, education, and renewal. Their vision was bold: restore the empire's place among great powers. Yet the challenges were already deeply rooted, and time was running out. In search of protection and modernization, the Ottomans turned to Germany. Military cooperation and new infrastructure promised strength, but also tied the empire's fate to a rising power in Europe. This alliance would pull the Ottomans into a global conflict greater than anything they had ever faced. By 1914, the Ottoman Empire was fragile, economically dependent, politically divided, and militarily behind. The world stood on the edge of the most destructive war mankind had ever seen. One spark, and the empire would be pulled into chaos from which it might never recover. As World War I erupted in 1914, the Ottoman Empire hesitated. Joining the Central Powers, Germany and Austria-Hungary, promised protection and a path to recover lost territories. But the risks were enormous. Advisors debated fiercely: stay neutral and risk humiliation, or choose a side and gamble everything on victory. In the end, they stepped into the war, a decision that would shape their destiny forever. The empire faced brutal front lines, stretching across deserts and mountains. Communication was slow, supplies were scarce, and outdated weapons struggled against modern armies. Distance and harsh environments made every movement a desperate challenge, draining men and resources. Control of the seas decided the fate of empires. But the Ottoman navy was outdated and heavily outmatched. Foreign fleets disrupted trade routes and coastal defenses struggled to respond. Without strong naval power, the empire was vulnerable on all sides. Germany pushed the Ottomans into bold strategies they were not ready for. New fronts opened faster than the empire could manage. While trying to prove their strength, they were trapped in operations that stretched the army dangerously thin. While battles raged, ordinary people suffered. Resources were sent to the front lines, leaving cities with shortages and rising hardship. As war continued, the daily life of citizens became a struggle for survival. Hope dimmed across the empire. Losses on multiple fronts weakened morale. Initial confidence faded into frustration. The world saw that the once feared empire could no longer defend its vast lands. The cost of war was growing, and victory looked distant. As the Ottomans grew weaker, their rivals advanced. Nations nearby competed for influence and territory once under Ottoman control. The empire was being squeezed politically and geographically. War intensified divisions within the empire. Long-standing ethnic tensions resurfaced as groups saw an opportunity to demand independence. Internal loyalty weakened just when unity mattered most. By the middle of the war, the situation was clear. The Ottoman Empire was overwhelmed. Economic collapse, internal conflict, and external pressure combined into a force too powerful to resist. The empire's decline was no longer a fear, it had become reality. As the Ottomans tried to modernize, foreign powers stepped in with loans, railways, and technology, but at a cost. European banks controlled finances, and new railways served foreign goals. A once powerful empire found itself dependent on others, no longer shaping history, but being shaped by it. Taxes increased, inflation spread, everyday people felt the weight of mismanagement. Farmers couldn't sell their crops, merchants lost profit to imported goods. Cities faced unemployment and poverty. The empire appeared strong from a distance, but inside, frustration boiled. A nation once united by conquest now struggled to hold itself together. Discontent became a spark, and that spark was about to ignite a political explosion. A new generation rose, educated in European ideas, nationalism, freedom, modernization. They called themselves the Young Turks. To them, the empire's old ways were chains holding back the future. They dreamed of a reformed government, a modern army, and a nation where citizens had a voice. Their movement grew stronger every day. Change was coming, whether the empire's rulers liked it or not. In 1908, the Young Turks achieved what many thought impossible. They restored the Ottoman constitution and forced political reform. For a moment, hope returned. Newspapers celebrated a new dawn. Citizens filled the streets with pride. The empire looked ready to rise again, smarter, stronger, more united. But deep inside, old rivalries and power struggles still lurked, waiting to break the empire once more. Nationalism was a double-edged sword. While strengthening the Turks, it awakened independence movements across the empire. In the Balkans, different ethnic groups no longer wanted Ottoman rule. Greeks, Bulgarians, and Serbs dreamed of their own nations, rebellions erupted, and wars followed. Instead of growing stronger, the empire lost land, and with each loss, its heart weakened. The Balkan Wars struck with devastating speed. Once powerful Ottoman armies retreated under pressure. Provinces were lost almost overnight, thousands fled their homes to escape violence. The empire watched helplessly as its European territories slipped away. The sick man of Europe was bleeding, and the world saw weakness. Desperation pushed leaders toward bold choices. The Young Turk government believed war could restore glory and reunite the empire. They looked for a powerful ally. Some saw Germany as the perfect answer, a rising nation with military strength and global ambition. It was a gamble, one that would pull the Ottomans into the greatest war humanity had ever seen. With every door closing in Europe, the Ottomans saw Germany as their last hope. Military pacts were signed in secret. German officers trained Ottoman troops, modernized ships, and promised support. Leaders believed this alliance would secure their future, that a great victory could erase decades of decline. But what they didn't see was that this decision would tie the empire's fate to a war far bigger than they ever imagined. In 1914, Ottoman warships, guided by German officers, struck Russian ports in the Black Sea. That single act triggered a chain reaction. Russia declared war. Britain and France followed. The Third Army mobilized. A single decision dragged the weakened empire into the center of World War. One hope of revival turned into a desperate fight for survival. The war hit the Ottomans hard. On the Gallipoli Peninsula, they faced the might of the British Empire and its allies. Soldiers fought in impossible terrain, hunger, heat, and endless bombardment. Yet, against all odds, the Ottomans resisted. Their courage stunned the world. For a moment, the empire remembered its ancient strength. But one victory could not stop the inevitable. War spread across deserts, mountains, and seas. The empire fractured under pressure, supplies ran out. Famine and disease claimed more lives than bullets. Many communities questioned loyalty to Istanbul. The government struggled to maintain control. World War I didn't just attack the empire from outside, it tore it apart from within. In the end, the cost was unbearable. The Ottomans could no longer continue the fight. They signed an armistice, and the once mighty empire collapsed. Provinces declared independence, allied armies occupied key cities. 1,000 years of history seemed to evaporate, leaving only fragments of a fallen world power. Yet from the ashes came rebirth. Under Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, the Turkish people forged a new nation, modern, independent, and determined to rise again. The Ottoman Empire may have fallen, but its legacy continues to shape our world. At the Inside Vault, we see the Ottoman Empire's fall as more than history, it's a warning. When a nation loses control of its economy and decisions are shaped by outsiders, power fades quietly. The sick man of Europe teaches us that influence isn't always taken by war, sometimes it's surrender. If you love uncovering lessons from the past, like, subscribe, and tell us what empire should we explore next.